So kind of let me walk you through trends that we're seeing today in hiring and what companies are and what candidates are doing. And it's there's a lot of talk around it, but first and foremost, the demand is still very high, at least in our world of manufacturing. There's just not enough talent to fill the gaps that are retiring. But with that in mind, hiring processes are more stringent. Companies are more strict about what they want. They want things more tighter. They want somebody that can come in and hit the ground running. And simply that means capability, skills. So when they hire a recruiting firm or hire us to go out and find it, we're looking for that 95, 98% match. Someone that can come in immediately, make a contribution, and execute at high levels. If you think about how business is today, there's a lot of reshoring going on, coming out of Asia back to America. Companies don't have a lot of runway to wait for people to come to speed. They've got to have somebody come to speed immediately. On the candidate side of things, the demand is exceptionally high. But if you're a candidate interviewing and you're not bringing your A-plus game to the interview table to talk about capabilities and experiences and what you can bring to the table, then the chances are high that you're not going to get hired, given the demand is so high right now. So shifting hiring processes, since the pandemic, it has shifted some. We've learned how to do things on video conference, which we typically would do, but only in a jam. Now it's an everyday occurrence. Has things really significantly changed since the pandemic? No, expectations are exceptionally high. I think what the pandemic exposed is our gaps in talent availability. And it exacerbated it because in certain areas, in certain parts of the country, certain industries where demand was exceptionally high, and other industries demand wasn't very high. But overall, the shift has really happened with two things. One, company expectations of candidates. They're willing to pay for the right talent. And then the other side of the coin, candidates or potential candidates are interested and they're listening to other opportunities, but it's got to be the right opportunity for that to happen.
We've seen the current movements. The Great Resignation, candidate perspective, and professionals wanting a better work environment affecting our industry, plastic and metal manufacturing. We've seen those clients that shifted with this new paradigm, shifted in the right direction, if you will, listened to their employees, made slight changes, in some cases major changes. We're seeing those companies meet their goals and succeed in this new environment we're in. We're also seeing on the other side of the equation clients that aren't willing to shift. They're still set in their ways. They're not listening really to their employees, and they're suffering.
So another good question I get from clients all over the country is how are people reacting when you reach out and touch them? And my answer has always been the same. They're listening. Candidates will listen. Potential candidates will listen to opportunity. There's been some studies out there, some recent stuff, 75% of the population that was surveyed said they would consider making a change. I don't see any gap in that analysis. I think it's fairly accurate. I think, however, what has changed in some regards is a candidate's willingness to make a change unless it is the right opportunity. And there's got to be some really strong mitigating reasons as to why, which another time we can talk about it, but ultimately it comes down to this. What is so compelling for me to leave my current opportunity to come to your opportunity and be in your organization? That really is the big number one thing that we're seeing today right now. I fielded this question the other day. It was a client of mine gave me a call and said, what do you think about our hiring process? And we had a candid conversation, and I applaud him for doing it. But one area that we kind of see routinely is what I mentioned was that having a robust hiring process is just absolutely paramount if you're going to land the right person for your role. And that simply means this. Have a plan of who's going to interview, have a schedule that you can adhere to that everybody will align with. We keep the candidate informed at both ends of the spectrum. That means, your recruiter is heavily engaged with them throughout the entire process. And then the other component is make sure you are engaged with your prospective people that you're interviewing with or considering for your role. One thing that I can tell you right away is candidates are extremely skittish. If they sense any type of gap in your hiring process where it seems to be undisciplined and not really definitive answers, not a lot of feedback coming back, and just kind of just don't know where you're heading, or they feel like they don't know where they're heading because we haven't communicated, then the chances are high you're going to lose the candidate, especially if they're really good for what your role is. So being robust in what you're doing and being very communicative is everything in the hiring process these days. So things that, companies or potential active candidates looking for new opportunities, things that may be holding them back, a few things come to mind. First off, from a company perspective, are your qualifications too tight? And I mean, simply a lot of times we might field opportunities with potential clients or current clients, and we're looking for that blend, right? That person that can do, 3 different types of roles, all wrapped up in the one title. So now you're looking for a purple squirrel that can do all this stuff, and why they exist, it makes it exceptionally hard to find it because you got to go out further and it takes longer to get those things staffed. The other side of the equation, when you talk about candidates, sometimes you got to learn to temper your expectations. You got to think macro, think of the big picture of what you're trying to accomplish for yourself professionally. But at the same time, I think candidates can be a little bit too sensitive and try to read too much into anything that somebody is saying instead of looking at the big picture. So don't get caught up in the minutia. Stay macro, look at everything, challenge the obvious, and you'll be okay. I was just asked the other day what I thought the current hiring trends were going to be, and first and foremost, we have not seen a slowdown given the current state of things. Inflation right now, gas prices, shortage of material, the demand remains exceptionally high for talent, still remains there. And one thing that you have to consider is, I know we read the news and we read the headlines and we listen to the media, but I can tell you on the ground, a lot of people are retiring. If you think about the last 10 years, we've had opportunity to build wealth through retirement plans, and that means a lot of folks invested in the stock markets. It's at all-time highs, still remains highs, even though we've had some downs. But the other side of the equation is, as the retirement's happening, there's not enough people in the pipeline to fill these gaps. And we're losing lots of talent, lots of experience due to retirements, and not enough people there to fill the gap. So do I think things are going to continue? Yeah, I do. In some industries, we might be in overabundance, but in a lot of industries, I think we're under. If you're operating a facility today or a company and you want to know how to retain talent, I think first and foremost, you need to approach it from the eyes of the people doing the job. The big thing for me is this: when I go in a facility, first off, what are the surroundings like? Is it clean? Is it neat? Is it respectable? Are the break rooms outstanding and clean for them to go to? Are the restrooms, subpar? Or are they really good? Those are first things. That says you care about your organization. Secondly, good open door policies. Open door policy is the most simplest thing you can do, but it only works if there's no retribution by whatever they bring to you. And yeah, you field some things that shouldn't even be coming to your door, but that's part of the gig. And if you just have an open mind and you talk to your people, you will not have the type of turnover that some are experiencing. The other piece is this, and this is probably the most paramount thing: leadership. Leadership comes in many forms. It absolutely disperses in many type ways, but more importantly, are you investing in leadership? How to lead people, lead by example, how to communicate with them, people skills. To me, leadership development is the one piece that I think you should be investing in wholeheartedly. When I say leadership, I'm talking right down to your plant leaders on the floor, on the ground, making those tactical decisions every day. They need to be developed and up the chain from there.
We see the current hiring trends continuing throughout 2022 and into 2023. We don't have a clear indicator of where we're going to see these trends make a shift or a change in direction. There's still a very, very tight market out there. There's more openings than there are qualified professionals to fill them. So we continue to see this trend throughout this year. Rest assured you're going to see that, and into 2023. There's a possibility we'll have more information coming sooner that we could see these trends continuing into 2024. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.
Watching, and see ya.